All right, it's your man DJ Seko, Mr. Stay Woke, Mr. Drink Too Much Coffee, and I'm here with one of my good friends and mentors, Mr.
Bruce Williams. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, and welcome to FlyGuy Radio. We do things on the fly, and we're pretty fly about it. So,
well, we'll fly with you today. All right.
All right, yeah, we're flying in the friendly skies tonight, and one of the good things that I think needs to be more common knowledge is the concept of a disparity study, and that's one of the areas that you're pretty well versed in. Tell me how you first came across this concept of disparity study.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the market, been in business for 16 years.
Okay.
And I also have a penchant for research. And it was clear to me that a lot of money was being spent with government money, city tax money, on a variety of different topics. In my business, advertising and public relations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was into tourism, and I was looking at the amount of tourism money being spent and where it was going, and the fact that my company and companies like mine were not involved in doing that kind of work. So
okay.
it led me to say, okay, how much money is being spent on what, and who's getting some of that money? And one of the things that early on in my business, which was outreach, we did when we talk about customer care consulting, we talk about outreach. We worked on the light rail system of Norfolk, Virginia, and what's called the SEIS. And what had happened with the SEIS is they do it from an engineering standpoint, but they also do it from a stakeholder standpoint: churches, community organizations, minority neighborhoods, to get feedback on the impact that such a construction would have on those communities. The federal government, when they're funding something, they want to see that, because in other projects where that wasn't done, where they ran interstates through neighborhoods and cut them up, lawsuits were placed in terms of cutting people's civil rights and violating their rights as citizens. So now, rather than get caught up in very expensive trials or have to rip up some of their plans, part of the process of getting federal funding is a supplemental environmental impact study, which includes what communities are going to be affected and how they're going to be affected by a project like a light rail system. So we had that contract to do charrettes and surveys and presentations, and we had to tape them, we had to make notes on them, we had to record them, and we had to do all the communities and along the route, get feedback from the churches, do presentations at the churches, get letters of support. All that was part of the process of getting the funding for that project.
Okay.
And I learned then that, well, what other kind of projects were they spending money on that aren't transportation? Because many of the transportation projects, the federal government required participation by minority firms. Well, let's start doing some research. Found out we were getting millions of our tax dollars, and me as an African-American taxpayer, and we weren't getting into these contracts. And so apparently I wasn't the only one who thought about it. A millionaire by the name of E.L. Ham recognized it. And when he took over the supplier, what's called the Department of Minority Business Enterprise,
okay,
he actually collected money from other black millionaires and did a disparity study. The state ultimately reimbursed them, but he did the disparity study and found out, first of all, when he got the agency, there were Fortune 500s on that list.
Wow.
And second thing, when he did it, found out that the black percentage of business procurement contracts that were being done with the state of Virginia was 0.59%.
It's not even a single digit.
0.59% of almost $250 billion budget. So if it's nothing, you got to remember something, and people forget their history, and I'm kind of a history buff, but this is recent.
Okay.
When Dr. Martin Luther King died, he was in Memphis.
Right.
Why was he in Memphis? He was in Memphis fighting for living wages for the garbage men.
Right.
Because his logic was, what good is it to be free to go into a store or sit at the lunch counter if you haven't got the money to pay for the stuff?
Right.
His fight that he died for was economic. Not to mention the fact that all the things I was running into with some of the organizations, everyone's strapped for money, looking for people to donate, folks saying they didn't have it, churches looking for tithes. And then you take a look at this money, our tax money, and you say, wait a minute, where's the fair share? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, doing some other research, found NAACP was doing fair share years ago. In fact, the first city to do fair share was Chesapeake. That's why there are schools in Chesapeake now that were built by Black contractors. So further study found the city I lived in, Virginia Beach, was spending millions of dollars and not having a participation level from Black businesses or even women-owned businesses that was close to what was available for the businesses to do that work. So, the state had done theirs. I pressed on certain council people to do it in the city of Virginia Beach when the state did theirs, like Hampton did.
Okay.
Well, the response I got was, we know it's bad, so why spend the money? We know it's bad. Why don't we just take that money and provide grants and hire some people to increase more Black and minority participation? I did a little further study and found that the Supreme Court had issued a ruling called Croson versus Richmond.
Okay.
And what happened was a company by the name of Croson didn't get a contract because Richmond had created a program that was based on minorities getting contracts in first, basically set-asides. He sued, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Sandra Day O'Connor, who was on the court, said, well, if you can prove scientifically that there has been a history of discrimination and you have a narrowly focused program, it will pass legal muster. Otherwise, it's a violation of the 14th Amendment.
Oh.
So that's where this whole issue of doing disparity study comes from, to give you the legal basis to back up anything you do that will help women and minority-owned firms or any selected class get additional contracts, all the way and including set-asides. It's legal. Otherwise, you get sued. So,
wow.
So the whole concept of getting disparity studies is only the beginning of the process. After that, you want to get a program that will make the difference, but you can legally do it and not lose this lawsuit. That's why you just can't jump up and say, well, let's have ODU do it. Well, unless it can be defended in court, the methodology, the results, and have a proof that the company who's done that has had experience in defending the findings that they found, you're just wasting your money and setting yourself up.
Wow, wow, wow. All right, well, some of the activities that you've been involved in have led to disparity studies, correct?
Well, yeah, well, they've led to them because in the group I'm in called the Hampton Roads Committee of 200 Plus Men, we pushed on this starting in 2011 to get all of the communities doing it, because we saw that when a city does it, like Hampton, for example, changes occur. And I had the privilege as a contractor, as a businessman, to do the part of the study that takes into account surveys, interviews with businesses. When I did Hampton, which was way back the first time around, I had to interview 50 businesses, a percentage of them that were Native American, percentage of them that were Hispanic, percentage of them that were women-owned, percentage of them that were African-American, percentage that were Asian, and primary majority-held companies, and asked through a very long survey, individually interviewed, have you ever had experience do you think there's discrimination? Have you applied for a contract? When you did you find that you were unfairly treated? Well, have you had contracts with the city? What was your experience in dealing with people in the city? Did you know about it? Do you think there's an old boy system that blocked you from it? Well, bonding blocked you from it. There's a lack of money bond for it. And these are interviews that took about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, okay.
And I had to find the companies based on the list that I got from the city. In some cases, they didn't have them, so I had to go find the folks and then interview them. And then take the interview, tape the interview, and provide it as part of the study, which includes examination contracts, regression analysis, telephone surveys.
Aggression analysis?
Regression analysis.
Oh, regression, okay.
Regression analysis, and be able to prove for the available firms in the market. And when they talk about the market, they mean the entire metropolitan statistical area, which includes Williamsburg to Virginia Beach, part of Northeast Norfolk Carolina, out to Suffolk. Okay. That's the MSA. And you have to say, what's the availability of the firms in the different categories? And there were like 5 categories: construction, prime, subcontractor construction, professional services, goods and services, non-professional services. What's the availability of firms that are Black, women, Asian, and Hispanic that can do the work, and how much money have they been paid by that city?
Wow.
In each of those categories. Now, if you find there's a wide disparity, in other words, let's say you got 100 architectural firms, and the city hasn't spent but $1,000 with any of them, then that's a disparity between what was spent with them, the business that was done with them, and how many were there.
Right.
That creates a gap or a disparity. If it's over a certain amount, it's called an egregious disparity. And the way the court interprets that is, if there's a disparity that's a certain size, then it has been caused by either happenstance or deliberately by discrimination, and therefore the jurisdiction can set up policies to fix that will legally be supported in court.
Incredible.
That's what it's all about. So what has happened since then is the state of Virginia has done 2 of them, I think, maybe 3. The problem is the state of Virginia has not leveraged those disparity studies to focus on women and minority firms. They have focused on what they call SWAM, small women and minority firms. It has proved a certain amount of increase, but nowhere near what it should be with minority firms. Because 98% of the businesses in Virginia are small. Now, what is defined as small?
500 less?
250 employees or less.
Oh.
Or $10 million in 2 years or less. That's why the one change that has been forced by both Governor McAuliffe and folks who got to him was to create the micro business category. The micro business category says $1 million and 50 employees. So it has opened up more opportunity for minority and women-owned firms because they, in a sense, are usually very, very small.
Interesting. Well,
let's not focused on women and minorities.
I see that we need to do a part 2 for this one.
Yeah, because we haven't even gotten to what happens here in a city like Portsmouth and what difference it's made. I'll be real quick.
Go ahead.
In the first 5 years, from 2006 to 2010, when they didn't have a program, they spent $99 million, and 4% of that went to women and minority-owned firms. In the last 3 years, 4%, which I think came out to like $3 million of the $99 million, okay? In the last 3 years, from 2013 to 2015, they spent $44 million, but their minority women program, the percentage after they put the program in place, after doing the disparity, 10%. And I'll give you a little news for your podcast. The new report coming out that I'm working on now, the numbers are going to be somewhere in the area of 25%.
Wow. So you went from 4 to 10 to over 20.
With less spend. With 61% less money spent, the percentages went up by 6%.
Wow.
Now that's the difference. That's the impact that a disparity study with a good program makes. Hampton has also shown growth in its women and minority-owned purchasing because they've done 2 disparity studies since they started, and they had done a program to make that change. That's what we're asking for. That's what the issue with the whole thing in Virginia Beach is about, and Norfolk, and Chesapeake, and Suffolk. And if you look at the graph I sent you, of the top 10 fastest growing regions in the country, 9 of them have done disparity studies.
Wow.
That's the story.
Now, you know what? I think I want to share that picture very quickly that you were just speaking about.
Sure.
All right. So this is what we're looking at. So these are the top 10 metro areas?
Yes, the fastest growing in the country. So the biggest increases from 2012 to 2013. And are growing now.
All right. And we're going to scroll down.
Right.
And these are the only ones that had disparity studies done?
9 of the 10. The only one that doesn't show up on there is Washington, D.C. The Washington, D.C. Metro. But I'm willing to bet they purchase like the federal government does.
Okay. All right. Well, I really think that we need to do a part 2 on this, man. What's the last thing you want to say when it comes to disparity studies to prepare us for the second one that we'll do soon?
It is not about race and gender. You can't have a region like this one, Hampton Roads, with 30%, 40% of it being minority, and a fast-growing group of businesses being women-owned, and expect the region to grow if there's not full involvement and full engagement. And the only way to do that is measure where you are and then take the proper steps to make it work and fix it. The region needs to do it. It's already proven with 2 cities. We need to get it all. And I believe that if we do it, we're going to have a powerhouse of a region that's going to affect all businesses, make them all better.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so this was Fly Guy Radio. We had my man Bruce Williams on. I was going to say Bruce Willis.
No, I don't get his check, and I only married his lady.
I'll talk with you later, Bruce.
My pleasure, Seko. Thank you.
Peace.